What's going on, everybody? I'm Jerry, and today I'm going to be doing my Week 7 picks. So far, picks videos have been the best of all the videos I've done, so thank you for watching these, liking, commenting, subscribing, and keep watching these. Watch the recap videos, too. I got power ranking videos out, a couple trade videos. Plan on doing some videos oriented around the coaching and injuries this season, so keep on the lookout for those. And let's just get right into it. Oh, and thank you for 50 subscribers. Big milestone, big 5-0. So let's keep those. Share, you know what? Share the video. Share the videos with other people, with your friends, so they can subscribe too. That would be just peachy. So let's get into this Saints-Jaguars game. I went back and forth on what to do with the score, and because I'm so torn on what I think is going to happen, especially with Trevor Lawrence. We don't know if he's going to be playing. It's been they just say he's day to day. They didn't think he was going to play on a short week. I really think the Saints are going to win because I don't think he's going to be at his best. But I think he could play, and then the Jaguars could win. So I've got the Saints winning, Jaguars covering the spread, which is like probably unheard of. To be 21-20, and if I predict this correctly, it'd be very impressive, obviously, as I just pat myself on the back before even doing anything. But 21-20 is what I've got. Again, I'm just kind of backing myself up here. Did not do great on the picks last week, so had to make up for it. I've got the Saints winning, Jaguars covering, final score being 21-20. I think it's going to be close, regardless. Next, we have the Browns-Colts. Both teams that are having to play their backup quarterbacks. P.J. Walker comes in and is able to at least help the team get the win against the 49ers. Didn't really do much for it, but with how well that defense performed and the injuries that the 49ers dealt with, ended up getting the W. I think this is going to be close too, just because the Colts did put up 20 points on the Jaguars defense, who have been a good defense. So I think they could put up 17. I think Gardner Minshew will be able to get down the field, but I do think he's going to struggle against that defense. So I have him getting 17, and I think the Browns are still going to be able to do it, and I think regardless, they're going to come out with the victory and cover. That's where I get the 20-17 from. So I think 20-17, Browns taking down the Colts, and then covering the spread at 2.5 as well. Another one, 3 at-home dogs so far, starting off the week. But we have Commanders 17, Giants 13. I think the Commanders just look like a better football team than the Giants. You could argue with recency bias how well the Giants played against the Bills. That may not be true. I just think the Commanders know how to get the ball downfield, and I think the Giants might have found something on defense, so it's a little tough to read these teams. Interdivision game, the Giants are getting, Commanders have to win by 2.5, so I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, though, especially with how the Giants' defense played last week. But how good the Commanders' defense is, which hasn't been great this year, but I think they'll be able to do well against a so far rough Giants team. Could be very easy to pick the Giants, though, in this game, especially with how they played against the Bills. I did go back and forth on this one because I definitely think they could get the W, especially with Saquon back. So I'm taking the Commanders, though. It almost seems like it's an upset, even though they're favored. But Commanders 17, Giants 13, them winning and covering the spread. Next, we have the Atlanta Falcons and the Buccaneers. This one I changed a couple times as well, just trying to figure out, like, the Falcons in week 1 and 2 scored 25 and 24 points. So they were looking really good, but then they had a 6 and then like a 7, and then they won with 21 points, but they haven't really eclipsed that mark very much. So I think they could get 20 against a strong Buccaneers defense, just because Ritter's been playing better. So not better, but he's at least been able to pass the ball downfield well, and that's what I mean when I say better. Of course, he's thrown the interceptions, he's made mistakes, so that's why I don't think they're going to win. But I think they'll at least make it a little bit higher scoring game in what very well could be a defensive game, where both of these teams so far this season kind of known for being better on defense, not great on offense. So maybe a high scoring game in your opinion, but in my opinion, I think 24-20 is what it's going to be. Buccaneers covering that spread. Falcons getting a close one. Artie Smith is probably not going to be very happy about it, but I think I got that one right. Bills Patriots. You got 31-17. Bills had a rough week last week. I don't see Bill Belichick helping them, them being the Patriots, to get a win. It's just a tough game to go into. Had a at least formidable game against the Raiders last week, but it wasn't enough to show me that they can beat the Bills. Would be a kind of a sleeper pick for the spread. especially with how the Bills were against the spread last week. They're thinking they're going to absolutely dominate the Giants and then barely able to score any points. So I think you definitely could pick the Patriots at, like, even if it was at plus 7.5 or 8.5, just based on last week's game. But I also think the Bills probably not happy with that game. So they're going to want revenge, even though, not that it was a loss, but they're going to want to have a better showing for themselves. So they did show Matt Milano and Trey White being gone is definitely going to hurt. But I think the Patriots, their offense just isn't strong enough for me to believe in them winning. And the Bills take down the Patriots 31-17, covering that 8.5-point spread. Next, we have Raiders-Bears. I changed this one last minute just because I think it's just going to be a shit bowl. Like last year, we had Bears Commanders was a Thursday night game, and it was like 12-7 was the final score, or something stupid like that. 12-5, I think it was, actually. It's just a horrible game. I think that's how this game could go, especially with the Bears having to start Tyson Bagent. Looks like Brian Hoyer or Aiden O'Connell is going to start for the Raiders. I think Aiden O'Connell, if he plays, could fare better than he did first time he played, just because I don't think the Bears' pass rush is going to get there. I want to believe in Tyson Bagent, and he actually, in my opinion, looked better in that just solely in last week's game than Justin Fields. But in the end, I think the Raiders are going to end up coming out with the W. Still have some injuries on the Bears in the backfield. You got some DBs coming back, which is going to help, especially with a backup quarterback on the Raiders. Every time I've picked for the Bears, I've been wrong every week. All 6 weeks so far, I've picked opposite of what's happened. The 1 week that I picked them to lose, they actually won. So I got them losing again. That means they're probably going to win, realistically. But I'm picking the Raiders, picking them to cover the spread, 14-10. Lions-Ravens. This one I went back and forth too, because the Lions defense has been playing really well. Ravens defense has been playing well. Lions defense isn't good against running quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson is a running quarterback. So I think 23 makes sense. I think we might see a lot of red zone opportunities for the Ravens, and maybe the Lions find out how to hold them, and then ends up with a couple field goals and end up winning the game. Dan Campbell, I think, is going to be he's going to want to win here. Maybe a couple fourth down conversions, and only going for touchdowns. That's where the 21-23 came. I really think the Ravens are going to win this game, but I think the Lions are going to put up a fight or even could win. So that's why I gave them to cover the 3-point spread. With a final score of 23-21. Definitely going to be a close game, and the reason it's on the thumbnail is being one of the games of the week. So Ravens take down the Lions. Next we have Rams-Steelers. The Steelers, although they had the bye week, they haven't really shown me anything to show that they can be like a dominant team, and the Rams they've been playing well week in and week out. I don't think this is going to be the week where they hold back. Obviously Kyren Williams being out is going to hurt them with having to play some backup running backs, but we haven't seen what they are. They could be really good. So that's going to hurt. That's why I think it's a bit closer of a game, but with only a 3-point spread, it seems like a no-brainer with the connection for Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. It just seems like the right pick to take the Rams. The Steelers defense has been pretty good this year, but I just don't think it's going to be enough to stop the Rams. If they can completely shut down the run game, force them to pass, and maybe force some turnovers, as Matt Stafford definitely knows how to do, I think the Steelers could take it, but I'm taking the Rams 20-14, covering that 3-point spread. Next up, we have the Cardinals-Seahawks. This is another one where, you see last week Dobbs finally doesn't look great. Seahawks coming off a loss to the Bengals where they had a couple red zone opportunities and just couldn't get in the end zone. I think they're going to want to capitalize on that. They're definitely working on that in practice. Cardinals kind of got embarrassed last week by the Rams, so to me, it makes more sense that the Seahawks are going to want to play this week, and I don't think the Cardinals are going to be much of anything here, and I think they're kind of settling into one of the worst lesser teams in the league. So Seahawks are taking down the Cardinals 28-17, covering that 7.5-point spread. Chargers Chiefs, this is another one where I actually originally had the score 38-31, and I thought about it, and I was like, you know what, I think the Chiefs are going to win. The Chiefs' defense has been playing better, and their offense hasn't looked as good. Obviously, they get Mecole Hardman back from the Jets. I don't think that's going to be a massive game changer. Really just hopefully a more reliable receiver for them. We don't know that yet, but at least somebody that knows the system and hopefully can fill in and help, because I I've been saying they need a wide receiver one. I don't think he really fits the mold there, but I think he at least helps them. So I don't think that results in a lot more offense, as the Chiefs only put up 19 against the Broncos. So I think the Chargers defense is a lot better than the Broncos, so it doesn't really make sense to give them more points. But at the end of the day, I think the Chiefs win. Chargers just scoring 17 points just sounds about right. Just with prior weeks, it just makes sense. So the Chiefs end up beating the Chargers 24-17, covering that 5.5 point spread. And next we have the Packers-Broncos. Packers coming off a bye week. Broncos are one of the worst teams in the league. I'm surprised it's only 1.5 for the Packers. That just didn't seem to make a lot of sense. I'm sure the Broncos want to try to get a win here, especially against Jordan Love that hasn't looked great, at least in the last couple of weeks we saw him. But with the Packers only getting being favored by 1.5, it just seemed right. We saw good flashes of Jordan Love previously, so I think the Packers take down the Broncos 24-21, covering that spread. As you can see, the helmet obviously is showing what team covers the spread there. So Dolphins, Eagles, this is another one I went back and forth on. I just don't see the Dolphins not scoring a lot of points, even in their loss to the Bills 48-20. They scored 20 points. So I couldn't have them giving less than 20 points. And the Eagles were kind of humbled last week by the Jets. Not that I think that the Eagles are a bad team or anything. I still, in my power rankings video, if you watch that, you'll see I have them ranked very high. But I think with where the Dolphins are at so far this year, just a more well-rounded team. Surprisingly enough, at least I think their offense just is more dominant than the Eagles' offense. The Eagles are dealing with some injuries in that secondary, Darius Slay and Reed Blankenship. So if they're both still not playing, it's going to be very difficult for them to guard Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. And then they add Chase Claypool. That doesn't really do anything for them. Achane is out, and then Mostert's still in, but might be getting Jeff Wilson back. So I think there's too many weapons, and I don't think the Eagles are going to be able to stop them. And I was surprised that the Dolphins were the underdog here at underdog by 2.5. So I've got the Dolphins win. I'll probably be putting in a bet at the Dolphins at like 2.5 or alternate maybe 3.5, depending on what the odds are. But yeah, I've got the Dolphins taking down the Eagles 31-24, covering the 2.5 point spread. Finally, we have the 49ers-Vikings. I think this is going to be a blowout, a comeback game for the 49ers. Tough to say with Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey possibly being out. I think if both of them are out, it definitely is a closer game. And, maybe won't cover that spread. So if you get news before the game that they're both not going to play, might be a good pick if the spread hasn't changed at that +7 for the Vikings, because they've always been in close games. It's been a one-score game pretty much every time. So if you can get the Vikings at +7 or +7.5 somehow, knowing McCaffrey and Deebo are out, that might be a good bet to put in. But I definitely have the 49ers winning for sure, and I think I don't think, especially if they play, the Vikings can cover that spread. And that is the Monday night game. So that's the last game of the week. I've got my record here so far. As you can see, 5-9 last week was not great. So I've got all season records 50-42 now. Against the spread, I'm 43-49, which I didn't do my against the spread pick for the first few weeks. So I just kind of factored that out and did 8-8 for each week. So it could be worse than that. Could be a little bit better if I would have done that. But right now I've got I'm at 43-49. The cool stat that I've been putting in every week is the better rushing team record. So just to break that down real quick, I go through all the teams. Whichever team has more rushing yards will typically get the better rushing team ranking. But if the other team has a significantly better yards per carry, or basically going over which team has the better rushing attack. Whichever team has the better rushing attack has won is 67-25 right now. And most of those losses are the Titans, the Falcons, and the Bears, are pretty much all of those, where like if they run the ball significantly better, but the passing game is just garbage. So they end up getting the loss and hurting that record. It actually, I think without those alone, it would be like, I think it was like almost 80-10 or something. So pay attention to that too. If you think one team has a a more well-rounded team or a significantly better running game might be a good pick, especially if a team doesn't have a good running defense. But those are all my picks. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a great day.